inside. So the first thing I'm going to point out to you is just on the right here. Now this classic architecture is known as the State Government House. Now this was built in 1845 for the governor, and it has been home to many since, including the current governor of today. Now this house is absolutely massive, as it has over 120 rooms. Coming up here, just on the closest point of land to us, where you can see a few people walking. This is known as Miss Macquarie's Point. It's around the other side of here. There is a bench carved out of sandstone called Miss Macquarie's Chair. Now this bench was carved out for Elizabeth, who was the wife of Governor Lachlan Macquarie, who founded these gardens in 1816. Now 1816 was obviously a very long time ago, which makes these gardens the oldest botanic gardens in the country at the grand age of 202 years old. The gardens themselves are about 75 acres in size, and they do have about 45,000 different species of plants. There's obviously a lot that you can cover in the gardens. So just on the left here, just after that bamboo, you're going to see the largest sculpture in the Botanic Gardens, and this is known as Rockery, which is Aboriginal for this side of the water. Now it is made up of two parts. The first, the large quartz stone form, is said to be hollow and home to many endangered microbats. However, no one's actually seen them, so whether they do live there, we don't know. And the second is actually made out of 350 tons of sandstone. And if you look at it really closely, it does sort of look like a wave, and this is said to represent the geological history of the cove. Now if you just want to look over your right shoulder, you are going to get a better view of the front of State Government House. Now they too have their own gardens, which are just free to walk around in from 10 till 4 every day. And the house itself also does do tours on Fridays to Sundays. So if my tour of the Botanic Gardens weren't enough for you today, I would definitely recommend going to check those out as well. Okay, so coming up here, just on the right in front of us through the trees, you are going to see like a cream castle-like structure. Well, this is a Conservatory of music, but originally it used to be the stables and the servants' block for the original government house. And again, just coming up on the right, this dark green building is the Conservatorium High School. Now this has about 200 students and is very competitive to get into, but it has been known to produce some of Australia's finest and well-known musicians. I don't know if any of you here like cooking at all, but on the left here we do have our herb garden, and it's here that we have herbs and spices from all over the world that even the chefs in our restaurant use in some of their meals. Now it does have three main sculptures. The first is a sensory water fountain just on the left. The second, just down those steps in the middle, is a large sundial. And then the third, which is just on the end here, is a large stone bird bath, which was actually crafted out of just a single block of sandstone. Now this is just before we reach our first stop, and it's from here, if you want to take these stairs on the right, you can go and see our rose garden. And similarly, if you'd like to get up here, you can go into the Calyx and you can look at their free exhibition on plants that bite. Now that means that you can also go and see your very first Venus flytrap. This is actually where I saw my very first one. So if anyone does want to get off here, just give me a wave. Okay, if everyone's ready, we're going to carry on. So the Calyx was actually opened up to the public in June of 2016. Now while it does hold many exhibits, it's also known to have the largest green wall in the southern hemisphere. Now this green wall is about 285 metres squared, 60 metres in length, and has about 18,000 plants in it, so it's obviously huge. And then coming up on the left is the newest exhibit to the garden, and it's a very cute, but also quite stern looking koala bear. Part of the garden we're now coming through is called Palm Grove. Now this is actually the oldest part of the garden, and some of these trees are believed to be about 200 years or older. Now the oldest plant species on the earth is actually the moss, but the second oldest plant species is the fern. And lucky for us here in the Botanic Gardens, we do actually have our very own Sydney Fernery, which is just coming up in a minute, just on the right, so you will see the sign and I'll point it out. So it's just here. But it's also here that we have a bridge where many water dragons like to reside. Now they reside here just because they like to eat the mosquitoes, which are attracted to the water just underneath the bridge. So we'll go a little bit slowly and we'll see if we can see one. I have actually only seen one today on all my tours, so I think they've all just gone into hiding for some reason. You're also going to see our plant clinic. Now it's here that researchers are looking into various plant diseases and also how they may be able to treat them. Now this is just before we come to our second stop, and it is from here. You want to take a walk through the Wallamaloo gates to the left there. You can go and visit the National Art Gallery of New South Wales. So if anyone did want to get off, just let the train come to a complete stop and then give me a little wave. Did anyone want to get off here? No? Okay. Carry on then. So this building, which is just on our right here, which is kind of like a coffee colour, like kind of brown almost, this is the National Herbarium, and it's in here that we have 1.2 million preserved plant specimens from all over the world. Now they are all catalogued and they are all used in research. Here on the left is the oldest glasshouse in Australia, the Palm House. Now this was built in 1876. However, nowadays it is only really used as an exhibition space, but I think it has actually been used for the occasional wedding as well. Now this very festive tree that's in the middle of this roundabout, covered in tinsel and baubles, is thought to be the rarest tree in the world, and it is the Wallaby pine. Now this tree was thought to be extinct for 65 million years before it was accidentally discovered in 1994 by a park ranger in the Blue Mountains. Now Sir David Attenborough said that finding it was like finding a dinosaur walking the earth that very day. And here on the left, complete with this very own scarecrow at the back there. I don't know how effective it is, but this is the first European farm in Australia. So when the British first came over here in January of 1788, they would have had about 1,000 mouths to feed and maybe more. So this farm would have actually been about 9 acres in size originally. And I would recommend coming back here, just because a few of these trees do have some really weird and peculiar names. They're always just a little bit of fun to read. So like this one on the left is called the walking stick palm. Now it's not the funniest name, but I did find out that in World War I, when soldiers were wounded, they actually used the stem of this tree as a walking stick for them. So that's obviously where it got its name from. This is our third stop on the tour, and it's here you're going to find the garden shop and the Botanic restaurant. Now if you did want to buy a souvenir from the garden shop, if you show them your ticket you can actually receive a 10% discount. So if anyone did want to get off here, they just want to give me a little wave. Yep. That's everyone, we'll carry on.
In the future, you could have 이거 좋아하잖아. 유니비다.
So this bridge that we're now going over is the oldest bridge in Australia, and this was built for Elizabeth. She was able to walk from the state government house to her chair. Now it was built by convicts, but Elizabeth was actually so grateful that she gave them 5 gallons of alcohol as a thank you gift. And here on the left, you'll see a tree with a plaque on it called the ginkgo biloba. Now there's evidence that this tree species is more than 180 million years old, and it is a native of China. Some of the compounds in that tree are still used in memory vitamins and cosmetics to this day. Now I'm sure you've all heard of the term touch wood for good luck. Well, this tree on the left in the centre here is actually where we get that. Now this is the Norfolk Island pine, also known as the wishing tree. People used to believe they made a wish, walked around that tree 3 times forwards and 3 times backwards and made their wish again, that it would actually come true. Now depending on how many tours you take with us today, you might notice that a few of our trees do have plastic around them. Now this is to protect them from an animal known as the possum, which I'm sure you've all heard of. So the possum is nocturnal, which means it likes to sleep during the day and then come out to feed at night. And unfortunately for our trees, it does like to feed on their leaves and fruit. So just by placing that little bit of plastic around them, it just means we can protect them and help them just live a little bit longer and a little bit healthier. Now this tree that's just been fenced off to our left here, this is the Queensland bottle tree, and I'm sure the first thing you're going to notice is it has an enormous trunk. And that's because that trunk is actually full of water. So when water was hard to find, Aboriginals could simply just tap into the tree's trunk and then be able to drink the contents. And here on the right, just like behind us a little bit, there's going to be a statue of a mare and foal. Now this is of a very famous French racehorse, so it's the Mare Lorena, so I don't know if you've ever heard of it. So the statue itself was actually cast in a Parisian foundry in 1890 before it was bought by the New South Wales Art Gallery and donated to the Botanic Gardens in 1953. We're now approaching our 4th and final stop, and it is from here if you want to walk through the Huron Gates, which is just up ahead to the right. You can actually go and visit Miss Macquarie's Point, which is a great point to view the Sydney Opera House and the Sydney Harbour Bridge. If you keep walking just from there, you can also go and visit Miss Macquarie's Chair as well. So if anyone did want to get off here, just give me a little wave. Okay, if everyone's alright, we're going to carry on. Okay, so as we go around this corner, I will try and get as close to the wall as I can and go quite slowly. This is so you can get a picture of one of the most photographed images in Australia, and that is, of course, the Sydney Opera House in front of the Sydney Harbour Bridge. the Opera House sits is known as Benelong Point. Now this is named after the first English-speaking Aboriginal man, and it was in 1955 that the Australian government decided that this would be the spot for the nation's first opera house. So in December of that year they did host an international competition, and in total they received 222 designs from 28 countries. Now it was in fact a Danish architect by the name of Jon Utzon who won the competition and its $10,000 prize. And he says that his prize-winning design was inspired by three things: the wings of a swan, the sails of a boat, and also seashells. Recently I have heard that it was inspired by orange peel, but I'm not actually sure how true that is. Now the Harbour Bridge, which sits just behind the Opera House, which is affectionately known to Sydney siders as the coat hanger, is actually an optical illusion because while it might appear curved, it is in fact made of only straight pieces of steel. Now this was opened up to the public in March of 1932 at a cost of about $10 million. It's held together with 6 million rivets and it weighs, I think, 52,000 tonnes. Now I don't know how familiar you are with the Australian film Crocodile Dundee, but you might know the actor Paul Hogan. Well, he actually started out as a rigger on the Harbour Bridge before he won a talent contest in the 1970s and went on to become a very famous TV actor and comedian. Bumpy, so I do apologise. If you want to just take a look to your left, you're going to see three very large trees. Now these trees are in fact over 120 years old, which means they are more at risk of foliage decay and their branches dropping. So the reason they have been fenced off is just for your protection, so we don't want the branches to drop and then hit one of you guys. And then if you keep looking to your left as well, you are going to see a tree on its side. Now this tree is perfectly healthy. He just decided that one night he just wanted to tip over. Now this is known as a dragon's blood tree, which is a really peculiar name. So the blood part of the name refers to the tree's sap, which is in fact bright red in colour, and the dragon part of the name refers to its botanic name, which is Dracena Draco, and in Latin that means female and male dragon. Now depending on how familiar you are with the Harry Potter series, you might know one of the characters, Draco Malfoy. Well, he actually gets his name from the botanic name of that tree. Harbour now to the left, just where that white ship is just passing. Now this is Port Denison. So when the British first came here, that was actually just a 15-metre high pile of rock. But very soon it did become a place of punishment for the not so law-abiding citizens of Sydney, and prisoners were simply just chained to the rocks and left to breathe for elements. The locals soon decided to call it Pinchka, and this was because the prisoners were only fed bread and water just once a week, and they were told that escape would definitely be out of the question due to the shark-infested waters below them. Now that's actually still true to this day, so I wouldn't recommend going swimming in the harbour anytime soon. In the mid-1800s, the government was actually quite fearful of an attack, so they did send the convicts to work on building the fort. Now it took 8,000 tonnes of sandstone, and in some places the walls can be up to 4 metres thick. It also does have a number of fairly large cannons, but thankfully to this day, they've never been fired in anger. Coming up on the left here as well, this is the Australian Rockery, and it's here that we have plants and fauna which are all dated to Australia. And I am told that this is the only part of the Botanic Gardens which is dedicated to Australia entirely. Approach to Sydney Opera House, this will be the end of the tour. I'd like to thank you for joining me and I hope you've enjoyed it. Now when you leave, you can just please take all your belongings and rubbish with you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the beautiful Sydney sunshine.
Yeah,